Welcome to another episode of M&M. We are your co-hosts, Melvin and Mira, and it's time to get educational. Let's dive deep into some facts about today's topic, the ocean and its zones. At the surface is the epipelagic zone, also
or the
known
sunlit zone.
Okay, Mira. It ranges from the surface to 200 meters deep. It is sunny, as the name would imply, with relatively warm water.
Lots of photosynthetic plants and organisms because they can soak up all that sunlight.
Oh, fun fact. Speaking of sunlight, phytoplankton, which go through photosynthesis, they produce half of the oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere.
That's crazy. And even though the sunlit zone is the smallest zone in the ocean, it's actually home to most marine organisms.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and most crustaceans live in this zone too.
It must be because of the low amount of pressure. It's so easy to live in.
It's just so easy. And the next zone is the mesopelagic zone, also known as the twilight zone.
But you won't find any vampires there.
Oh, Melvin. So the mesopelagic zone extends 200 meters to 1,000 meters down. Sunlight's very faint here. You won't need your sunglasses. So it's the first signs of bioluminescence are appearing. And most fish actually have eyes that are larger and facing upwards so they can see the outlines of other fish above them and so they can capture more sunlight.
Quite interesting. Even deeper than that is the bathypelagic zone, also known as the midnight zone. It ranges from 1,000 to 4,000 meters deep, and it has an immense water pressure. It's not somewhere you would like to go scuba diving.
The
only visible light there is produced by bioluminescent creatures.
And a surprisingly large number of marine creatures live here, even despite the immense pressure we talked about before and the lack of sunlight. Amazing.
Even deeper than that is the abyssopelagic zone, also known as the abyss. Sounds like a scary place. It ranges from 4,000 meters to 6,000 meters deep, and the temperatures are near freezing. The pressure down there will actually crush you, so it's not somewhere you would want to go. There are very few marine creatures that live there, but the ones that do are mainly invertebrates.
And the deepest zone in all of the oceans is the hadopelagic zone. It's 6,000 meters deep to the deepest point of the ocean, which we know is the Mariana Trench off the coast of Japan. It's 10,911 meters deep.
In the hadopelagic zone, the pressure there is actually insane. It is immense. I'm talking 8 tons of pressure per square inch.
Per square inch. And it's just above freezing, so it's not exactly a cozy environment for any kind of animal. However, amazingly, invertebrates such as starfish and worms actually thrive here.
Moving on from the ocean zones, now we're going to talk about the organisms that live there. What we've got in store for you is the lobster, the American lobster, the leatherback sea turtle, the sperm whale, and the lion's mane jellyfish.
It's going to be a great time, everyone.
So don't touch that remote.
The lobster, or the Homarus americanus, lives in the epipelagic zone, which is the sunlit zone we talked about earlier. And it lives in the cooler waters of that zone, under rocks or by corals, mainly on the seafloor. It has an exoskeleton with jointed appendages for mobility, so it can walk. And the exoskeleton is actually made of chitin, which is hard, kind of like an armor, so it protects the lobster from predators. Only when it's young, however, because adult lobsters have only one enemy: man. Lobsters have 2 claws. One large claw with molars down the middle, and it's called the crusher claw because it crushes the shells of crabs, clams, mussels, so the lobster can eat them.
The other claw is called the ripper claw. It's a quick claw and it's smaller. It's used to tear soft food like fish.
Lobsters are usually kind of murky in color. They're brown, blue, so they can camouflage under rocks that they like to hide in. They have legs so they can walk on the bottom of the seafloor, and they prey on other crustaceans that dwell on the bottom as well, like crabs, mussels, etc. And they're able to capture fish that swim above them. Lobster eyes are actually very interesting. They're very reflective. They're not refractive, unlike human eyes.
And a fun fact about them, they have 180-degree vision, and their eyes are made of long, narrow cells that capture tiny amounts of light, giving them ultra sensitivity to detect minor movement instead of good image resolution. Next up, we have the leatherback sea turtle, Dromaeoculus coriacea. It lives in the epipelagic zone, in the sunlight zone, and it hunts mainly jellyfish. They have the ability, however, to dive up to 1,200 meters deep into the bathypelagic zone, also as we previously introduced as the midnight zone.
It's very adapted to diving like this. It has a unique blood supply system that allows them to tolerate cold water like a mammal would by keeping their body temperature several degrees above water temperature. Also, their shell is very hydrodynamic. It's leathery and kind of flexible, and it has ridges on the top of it that helps them dive, and they have a better movement in the water. They can withstand the pressure of the deep because of their collapsible shells. They don't collapse. They also do, however, have collapsible lungs, so they can avoid the bends coming back up. They also have a sphincter that closes off blood supply to the lungs, which conserves energy during their deep sea dives.
There's no known reason for these dives, however. It could possibly be a method of evading predators or finding prey or simply maintaining proper body temperature. What's interesting about leatherback sea turtles is that they are quite large for turtles. They grow up to 180 centimeters. They can have a mass of 500 kgs, and they also live in the open ocean, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Despite their large size, they consume low-protein, low-energy jellyfish and squid and other invertebrates like this. Their favorite is the lion's mane jellyfish, which we'll talk about later. They must consume 70% of their body weight, however, so their esophagus, mouth, and the whole way down to the stomach is lined with sharp backwards-facing teeth, or barbs, called oral papillae, so they can keep the jellyfish and other kind of slippery food down, because they can't afford to lose out on any.
Next up, we have the sperm whale, the Physeter macrocephalus, and it lives in the twilight zone, also known as the mesopelagic zone. However, it does have the ability to dive into the midnight zone to hunt giant squid as far as 4,000 meters deep.
Whoa, giant squid, that's amazing! They can fight those things?
Yeah, the battle of the giants, if you
will.
They are very large. They reach up to 16 meters, and they can weigh up to 15,000 kilograms. They have blowholes as they are mammals and they do not have gills and cannot breathe underwater, but they can hold their breath up to 1 hour and they have to come up for air and spout out the water that's contained in their body. A special adaptation that the sperm whales have gained over time is that they can utilize echolocation to communicate and find prey.
So they're kind of like bats in that way?
Well,
with echolocation?
Well, 15 meters and 15,000 kg large bats.
That's true.
This is useful in hunting as the ocean becomes increasingly darker as you move away from the sunlight zone and into deeper territories where you can find giant squid.
Like the leatherback sea turtle, their lungs are collapsible, so they won't be destroyed by the pressure of the deep.
And they have a sleek shape, which allows them to be hydrodynamic during diving.
The lion's mane jellyfish, or Cyanea capillata, dwell mainly at the surface of the ocean in the sunlit zone. They are the largest of the jellyfish species. They can be 2 meters long and have almost 40-meter-long tentacles.
These large tentacles are used to grasp prey, such as smaller jellyfish and small fish. Furthermore, these tentacles, as commonly in the Cnidaria phylum, have stinging cells, which are used to ward off predators and incapacitate prey.
A very interesting fact about the lion's mane jellyfish is that in warmer climates, they tend to be relatively small for the biggest jellyfish species in the world. However, in the Arctic, they can reach very monstrous sizes. They can be quite scary up there. But they only have a year-long lifespan, which is pretty sad.
Well, that's all, folks. Join us next time for more science with M&M.